All right, welcome back for another episode of the Sports Den with Will and James. I'm the New Mexican sports editor, Will Weber, as always, joined by James Barron. James, look, in my free time, and I don't have a lot of free time because I have three kids at home and four pets and a wife and a full time job and all that stuff. But in my free time, I was watching some YouTube stuff yesterday and a podcast, I think from like my favorite football team, the these guys came up and they talked about how podcasts usually like 90% of them fail in the first five episodes. But of the ones who survive, there's a 90% failure rate before you get to 20. We're up to like 25 podcasts now. So we're like in the top 1% of the 1%, man. We made it to we're I think we got something going on here. So congratulations, dude.
Yeah, and I think we're the biggest one. I think we might be the largest one flying under the radar because nobody knows who we are yet.
And I can't even get my wife to watch this. So yeah. Look, so thank goodness high school football season started because now you and I will quit staring at each other like we have nothing to do. Football practice for high school teams started Monday, yesterday. We're recording this on a Tuesday, and we're joined by one of Santa Fe's finest coaches, John Michael Salazar. I was going to ask you if you wanted to use all three names, John Michael, because I told you before we came on, when you use three names for people, usually means you're an assassin or a mass murderer or something. So we're going to go with all three names, and hopefully we're going to hope for the best here. But the Capital Football coach has been nice enough to join us. Coach, welcome aboard.
And thank you, gentlemen, for having me. And we'll go with the assassin. I guess if you're an assassin, you're a mass murderer too. So.
Yeah, you kind of look like one, coach, and you're pretty cut, man. That's like I think you might use this to your advantage whenever you get pissed off with the guys.
It helps. It helps.
Just start walking around with like a little scope, just like eyeball guys.
Well, coach, your team's coming off a 2-8 season. Look, the 2 wins were in districts, so which means that you're in the competitive. You're in the race last year, right up until the very end. Your season starts in less than 3 weeks now. You have the Demons on August 22nd, then you have St. Mike's, and then Espanola, and you go straight back into district play. But what can we expect out of the Jaguars this year? I think James and I combined, we probably saw all or most of your games last season. But what can we look for this year?
Yeah, I did see you guys at a lot of our games last year, and we had some good conversations after some of those losses. Some of them hurt. We were pretty competitive in the majority of those games. Just a few of them got out of hand, but this year's team is different. One thing that I can say that I haven't seen at this school in a while is the togetherness of this team. It's like a brotherhood that I haven't really seen before. Guys lifting each other up. When someone messes up, it's not. It used to be like an automatic tear down, and I'm not seeing that. I'm starting to see, a culture shift, which is really good, and I'm excited about it. We're going to be young, but we have a good group of senior leaders this year. And we're going to be competitive. And I know these guys are going to ball out. They're going to play. They're going to leave it all out on the field, heart and soul. And, that's all you can ask for. And then we'll see how that scoreboard looks at the end of each Friday night.
Will kind of mentioned it a little bit that you look at really the last 2 years too. I think when Joaquin Garcia was there last year, I mean, you guys go 1-9, but you lost 8 of those games by 1 score or less. So you guys were really competitive, even though it came out to a 1-9 record. And then last year, you had opportunities really the last 2 weeks of the season. I mean, if you win one or both of those games, you guys are in the playoffs. And obviously, the breaks didn't go your way and everything. But what do you feel like is keeping this program from maybe turning those 1-9 and 2-8 seasons into maybe 4-6s, 5-5s, or even a winning record?
I think it's just the mindset of finishing, you know what I'm saying? Just being able to finish those tight games and realizing that every game you're still in it. Last year, I would see sometimes when a team would go up by a score or two, there was that like drop off in mentality where it's like, oh, here we go again. And I think my biggest job in changing the culture at this school is to make these guys believe that it doesn't matter what the score says, we're still in this game, and as long as there's time on the clock, we can finish it and we can come out with a W. We need to change the mentality that we can win these games, and that's the process that we've been working on since last winter, really.
Yeah, Coach, we saw that offense of yours struggle so much, where the skill position guys were good, the defense was solid, and it wasn't up until the last couple of games of the season where you got over 20 points, where it just seemed every game you were shooting yourself in the foot offensively. But I think you and I even talked about this a couple of times, is the interior line was kind of a problem for you guys last year. Has that been one of the focal points in the offseason, is to build that offensive line?
It is a focal point, and you're right. Like, that's the engine that drives the whole machine. Like, if we can't get those guys on the same page, and this whole offseason has been telling these guys the importance of those linemen. We had to change things up on how we do things here. I listen to a lot of coaching podcasts on Spotify, and there's little things that you can do to make these guys feel more special. Like, when it's time to hand out equipment, they're the first ones in line. Just things like that to make them feel appreciated. And I think, looking back, I didn't do a good enough job on my part, making these guys realize how special they are on the team, and making them feel appreciated in that way. So, we're probably going to be a little young on the offensive line again. We did graduate a few seniors last year, but again, going back to what I said about this brotherhood and this togetherness that I've been seeing, these guys are cheering for each other, and they're doing everything they can to encourage each other, and it's been good. And even the skill guys, like last year was a lot of finger pointing, and we had to put an end to that. Because it's not just one person's fault. You saw our games last year. It was more than just the offensive line. We had skill position guys that would jump off sides or drop a ball on a critical third down. The times we did get those guys doing what they were supposed to do and give Devin or Ace some protection, our guys, they kind of let us down in those big moments. So, as long as we do have them believing that it's a team effort now. We's greater than me. It's been something I think we've had to change over the last few seasons, and we're starting to see the fruits of that.
You mentioned Ace there, and Ace Pacich, your junior quarterback, and he got a little bit of experience last year because Devin Montano, your previous quarterback, got injured a couple of times. What do you think that experience did for him, and how do you think he's grown, both as a leader and also as a quarterback?
It was rough last year, the reps he was getting, because you could see it. He was a deer in the headlights. And it's going to be that way for any sophomore that's playing varsity, really. But he got a taste of varsity speed. And this summer, it wasn't a huge transition for him when we started playing. Valley's going to be really good this year. Mm-hmm. So when we went against Valley, and their skill guys are, Coach Kobus has done a great job with that program. Those guys are really fast. It didn't overwhelm him. He pretty much knew what to expect. And I think that's the good part about him getting the reps he did last year, that it helped him in the offseason, what he had to work on. And he did a great job on his own, working on, I get these guys for an hour in the offseason. The rest of the time they have to put in their own work. And he did he's done a heck of a job. His arm has gotten a lot stronger. He's getting better with his reads, and recognizing coverages that he needs to see pre-snap. I mean, it's going to change after the ball snap, but at least, he's recognizing an open middle of the field open and middle of the field closed. So, and he's pointing it out to his receivers. And that's where I've seen, talking about his leadership, he has stepped up into that role where he's telling guys, you know, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You need to make that break at so many yards, and you're running a lazy route. And he's not being condescending about it, you know. He's doing his job as the leader of the offense to tell him, like, this is where you need to be because this is where I'm expecting you to be.
Coach, you mentioned the chemistry and the brotherhood for the team, which is, I mean, it's great to see because so many teams, you can't really have a successful season unless the guys get along and they support each other. But where does that come from? Because you just said you don't have that much access to them. You have them for about an hour a day. Does that fall upon the seniors, the leaders, the veterans of the team to kind of bring people together? And what kind of personality does make that work? Is it the outspoken, real kind of go get him kid, or is it, or what makes chemistry work for you guys?
So we have a good mix of guys who lead by example and guys who are outspoken. I think what I really hammered, the time I did have with these guys in the off season, what I really hammered away on was that it doesn't mean as much when it's coming from me talking to your teammates. It means a lot more when you guys are saying, hey, that's not how we do things here. And a lot of guys they've taken up that mantle, and they're preaching that to each other, which is it's awesome to see, man. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you like a little story where I started seeing. I may have told James this story, but where I started to see a shift in you know, our culture and what we're doing, and how I realized that I'm finally starting to get through to these guys was our locker room. So our locker room was always a mess. And I'd seen the Deion Sanders interview where he's talking about if your locker room's a mess, your team's probably a mess, because if you're not doing something as little as keeping that locker room clean, you're not doing the bigger things right either. And so I started telling our guys that, like, there was one point where we brought in, and this, you know, it's something I learned growing up. My stepmom at the time, she said, I'm going to show you how I want the kitchen cleaned. And she cleaned the kitchen. This is how I want it. This is the way you're going to stack the dishes. This is what you're going to do, A, B, C, D. And from then on out, that's the way that's the way I washed the dishes and did, you know, kept the kitchen clean. So there was a point where the locker room was pretty messy. We had Ray Salazar call the janitors in. They cleaned it up. I locked that door, and when they came in on Monday, I was like, all right, we're all going to walk into this locker room right now, and you guys are going to see what I expect this locker room to look like from here on out. I was like, spotless, right? I was like, there's no stains on the floor. You don't see clothing on the floor. You don't see food in lockers. This is the way I expect it to be from here on out. And you know what? It started staying that way. Like there were some growing pains, of course. Like there were times where I said, guys, this isn't looking the way I told you it needs to look. And it got cleaned up that day. And the locker room, even now, first week of the official practice season, it's staying clean. And
yeah, look at your office. All the equipment behind is all stacked nice and neat. It starts in the coach's office.
Yeah, I was gonna say I went in the locker room. There, you know, while you guys are practicing and everything. Boy, man, even as they were kind of, you know, changing into their workout clothes, boy, there weren't any clothes on the ground. It looked like, you know, you guys, you know, weren't even out there at practice yet. So I guess I guess that part's at least that message has resonated with them, because you know, it definitely looks like a clean locker room.
Well, good. I'm glad you saw it for yourself.
I need to have you guys come clean out my garage, man. That's next.
No, but it's little things like that. I mean, if you want to build a program, we need to do those little things right. And we want to be a championship program. I told my parents at our parent meeting, championship programs start in your home. If I'm telling your kid that he needs to be, after practice, he needs to be recovering, and that means drinking fluids, eating, resting. If you're letting them stay up till 2 a.m. playing video games, then they're not recovering correctly. And we're not going to be a championship program if that's what you want. And every parent wants that.
Yeah.
Coach, one challenge that you're going to have this year, and we kind of saw, or I kind of saw, first day of practice is your roster size. Obviously, I think you had about 26, 27 kids out there. I think you're expecting probably numbers in the low to mid 30s by the, once everything kind of settles out and everything. You know, is that a good news, bad news kind of thing? I mean, how do you view, that roster size there, especially, even at the 5A level, man? I mean, it's, it doesn't give you a lot of depth. I mean, from that end.
It's I'm looking at it as addition by subtraction, because we did lose a lot of kids because of the way I'm running the program now. They don't, some of them want to do what they want to do, and they don't want to be told what needs to be done. And if they want to cut corners and they want to be undisciplined and they don't want to show character in the hallways in the school, or I'm going to be getting emails from their teachers and they're not going to get their grades right, then I don't care how talented you are. I want players with character, and I've lost some players because of that. But on the flip side, I'm hoping the other students in this school are going to see that, and they're going to be like, you know what? I want to be part of that. I want to be part of something special. This is different than what I'm seeing in the hallways. I want to be a part of that.
Coach, your schedule is no picnic. I mean, you start with your 2 rival games. I've never been a big fan of playing the rivalry games up front, but I understand the logistics of scheduling just because they're not in your district anymore. But you have the Demons right off the bat, St. Mike's the following week. I guess the benefit is the first 4 games on your schedule are all in town, so you don't have to go anywhere. But looking down the road, my gosh, you got some of the best teams in your district on the road. You got Valley, you got Berlin, Los Alamos, Mayamura, all outside of town. Just talk about the challenges that you face with that schedule.
Well, October is 4 home games and 4 away games and 1 home game. And, that 1 home game is going to be our senior night. So October's, it's pretty difficult. It's I'm a Cowboys fan, and, it always seems like it never fails. The schedule at the end of the season for those guys come December is always pretty brutal. But what I did realize last year, and I think, Will, we kind of talked about it, we played better on the road than we did at home.
Yeah, the Nordic game, you guys look amazing. Yeah. You guys were just on fire that night. It's the best I've seen Capital look in years, was that night against Del Norte.
When it's clicking, man. Like and it just hums. Like I tell people that all the time, because some coaches will freak out in 7-on-7 when you start getting on a roll, and it's like, oh, where did this team come from? And it's just a matter of staying consistent with that, and then bouncing back when there are setbacks, because there's going to be, like every football game, you're going to do something you're going to get a penalty that you didn't want, or a turnover, just things like that. But you got to be, we're working on being mentally tough, being able to overcome obstacles like that, because there's obstacles in life that you need to overcome.
Yeah.
You can't, life doesn't let you just hide on the bench. You need to, you need to, dust yourself off and get back going, putting one foot in front of the other. And I think that's going to be the key with these guys, is like, just, getting to the point where, like, we're going to work on getting 1 step. Now let's get 2 steps forward. Now let's get 3 steps forward. And I think, with a young team, that's probably going to have to be the philosophy that we need to run with this season.
Coach, I know with your offense there, you really kind of want to have that balance there of being able to run the ball and throw it as well. And last year there were times where you guys kind of struggled being able to do that. What do you think is going to be the identity or the strength of this team going into this season?
It's probably going to be similar to other seasons, where people they're going to want to stop our wide receivers. It's no secret. We put our best athlete at quarterback here now. We do want to spread the ball around to our athletes. It's the air raid philosophy. get the ball out quick to your athletes and let them make a play. I think what happened over the last few seasons, and I'm guilty of it, we kind of look like the old Raiders from the 80s, man, where it was just nothing but vertical game.
Yeah. just chuck and duck, right?
Yeah, and we want to get away from that. Like, we want to get away from that. You know, we want to be able to run the ball effectively so that, you know, then we are able to spread the ball around the field. We want to make a defense play from sideline to sideline instead of just, you know, dropping back and sitting on our vertical routes all the time.
Coach, gosh, you look at the weather. There's not a single place in New Mexico this week you can hide from the heat. I mean, it's triple digits almost everywhere you go. We're recording this at 12:30 on a Tuesday. I know you got a 1 o'clock practice coming up, so we'll get you out of here pretty soon. But how do you deal with the heat? I mean, it's not unique to Capital. It's not unique to Santa Fe. But man, that's not an easy thing, especially when you're trying to get guys to come out and compete for a football team.
And you practice on turf.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You know, lots of water breaks. We have to have water available all the time. Like, it's not just a water break. Like, we have to have water on the field so that in between plays, in between reps, they can go and get themselves some water.
It's not like the good old days when the coaches would yell at you and like, no water breaks till the end of practice. Coach, I'm dehydrated. I don't care. Suck it up.
You didn't earn water yet.
And the mentality's definitely changed over the years for sure.
Yeah. It has, and you know, we're looking into getting like a Gatorade package that has like those electrolytes in it. I mean, right now we just need to preach over and over and over, like, if you're not drinking at least a gallon of water every day, especially this week, then you're setting yourself up for failure. Yesterday, you know, I need to practice what I preach because I didn't drink enough water yesterday during practice, and I went home and I had a pretty good headache at the end of the day.
Pickle juice. Did you ever do that? Do you ever drink the pickle juice? You ever try that?
I have actually.
It's nasty.
But
it works, man. It does.
It does, yeah.
But the biggest key is like telling these guys, and they have to hear it over and over again. It's like we have this huge break, you have enough time to hydrate, eat, and get some sleep in, so that, you know, come 1 o'clock, you're not cramping on us. Like, we had a player, he fell asleep and forgot to eat before practice yesterday, and so he had to sit out.
That's teenagers. They usually have no problem sleeping, but it's always the little things that they always forget. You know. Yeah.
No, it certainly is. But Coach, I think next week you guys have your scrimmage. You're hosting a scrimmage this year. You guys get I believe it's at Taos and Pewaukee.
Yes.
You get a great opportunity there to kind of test your team out here, you know, against two really quality teams. I mean, you look at Pewaukee and, you know, people will see that they're probably a team that's going to make the playoffs this year in 3A and could cause some trouble there in that district. And then Taos, you know, Taos played really well, you know, the last, 5 weeks of the season, and they've got a lot of talent coming back. So they're going to be probably one of those teams to beat or at least one of the top 2 or 3 teams in their district.
Yeah.
Good test for you guys before you have to play Santa Fe High the following week.
Yeah, I like it. We had gone up to Taos last year. Coach O'Gean had reached out, and I just got to the point where I'd rather have a scrimmage here at Capitol. That way, you know, we're not getting back too late. We still have school the next day. So, you know, I figured, why not do it here? Coach Villegas was looking for a scrimmage, so I told him, come on over, man. Let's get you, Taos, and us here, and we'll do it up. And what I like about Coach Villegas and Coach O'Gean is, like, we're all of the same mindset. Let's get out of this thing healthy. Let's get some reps. Let's get good reps, but let's get out of this thing healthy. We're not, you know, it's a scrimmage. We're not. It doesn't affect our district record. It's not affecting playoff seeding or anything like that. So
you
don't win district championships. Hit somebody else.
You don't win district championships in August, right?
Exactly.
Well, it's hard to believe that the season is right around the corner. My gosh, we wait all summer for this, and then in 2 weeks, basically, we're going to be watching teams play. That's
Yeah.
August 21st of the first game, so we are right around the corner. But looking forward to it. Capital is always fun to watch. I know you guys are always entertaining, and look, James and I have said this off air a couple times. Like, Santa Fe is just better when Capital's better. The city is better when you guys play well. So
Yeah.
not that James would ever admit, we would never admit this in public. This is not going to appear anywhere online, but we kind of root for Capital to do well, and so we'll just edit that part out, won't we? But we want Capital to do well. So
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, and like your guys' support has been huge. Especially, I appreciate your guys' support for me. Coming in second year, and even last year, you guys were really good. I really appreciate you too.
They don't call him Jaguar James for nothing.
No,
Jaguar James Barron.
Yeah, there's a team photo with me in it, and I almost lost my job because of it.
Heard about that yesterday.
But Coach, we really appreciate having it. Look, I know you got practice here in about 20, 25 minutes, but thanks for coming on, and we really look forward to that Demons Jaguars game. It's always fun to watch. It's going to be a lot of energy. So yeah.
Well, thank you guys for having me. And that night's going to be our heroes night. We'll have first responders, military. So we're trying to make it, an event as well as a football game for people.
Cool. Yeah, that's really good.
Awesome.
Really good.
That's awesome, man. That's great.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then James and I will come back to talk about some viral news that came out yesterday from UNM. UNM made a little commercial, which it was picked. If you scroll on Instagram, you saw it on Instagram. Gosh, even CBS was picking it up. So we'll talk a little bit about the Lobos and how they've exercised their acting chops yesterday. But Coach, again, thanks for coming on. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for the season opener.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And I'll have to get on Instagram to look at it.
Yeah, there you go. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. John Michael Salazar. It's going to take a while. I've only called him John Salazar, but John Michael Salazar. It does kind of sound like a historical, some sort of criminal. You always hear the three names. You automatically, what did he do wrong? But no, just a really good guy, good coach. And so
he is, and another one of those guys from Coach Moon's, the Capital coaching tree there.
Yeah,
he was there in the mid '90s, right when they were just before they made the move to 5 or to 4A when the state had 4 classes back in the day. So he was a pretty accomplished defensive back for Moon in a couple of those teams.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough climb for them. They haven't made the playoffs since 2019. Yeah. They haven't had a winning record since 2019, but you never know. In a 7-game district schedule, all you got to do is get lucky probably twice and maybe get to the state playoffs. But we'll see. It's that is definitely a competitive district that they're in. Look, yesterday was Monday, August 4th, and it was the big news coming out of the University of New Mexico was a commercial that they had produced internally to promote a fan engagement initiative, which would allow which does allow kids 12 and under to attend Lobo home games for free, football games for free. And this is about a month earlier, they announced that basically all Olympic sports admission is free this season. So they're really trying to put people in the stands. But the thing that kind of caught my attention, the announcement's nice. I think it's a good idea to do that because, so families who are straining for money, it does help to get a kid in for free. Was that commercial that they put out. It first appeared on Instagram Monday morning, right around 9:00, as practice was going on. And so the media had kind of gathered at Lobo football practice, and then the commercial comes out, and it was a parody to episode 12, season 6 of The Office, the Scott's Tots episode, where Michael Scott promises to pay the tuition of all these underprivileged kids, these inner city kids, their college tuition. Well, they're all in their senior year, and he finally has to realize, like, oh yeah, I don't have the money to do that.
Mhm.
And so this is a spin-off to that where it starts off with where Jason Eck, the football coach, is calling the athletic director saying, "Hey, I just met the biggest Lobo fan. She's a teacher," and the phone breaks up, the conversation breaks up, and Fern Lobo, the athletic director, misinterprets it. He says, "Yeah, let kids in for free," but since the cell phone connection was so bad, the coach heard it as "let them into UNM for free," and they made a whole 3-minute thing about it. It was actually really well done, very well edited, put together, and I learned that Jason Eck, if he can coach anywhere near as good as he can act, they're pretty pants. He was good. He was really good. And so I went to practice yesterday. I told him, I said, "Yeah, like, have you had any sort of thespian background?" He said he was never in a school play, maybe goofing off at his grandparents' house, but no, he just
Yeah.
kind of winged it, which I thought, yeah, it kind of shows his personality. He can just make
Mhm.
things up to the top of his head. So, but if you haven't seen it, go on Instagram, go on YouTube. I'm sure they have it on Facebook by now. It's making the rounds. CBS picked it up. I believe Fox's college sports account was retweeting. It was promoting it too.
Yeah.
So it's out there. It's pretty good.
Well, yeah, I'm one of the masses who hasn't seen it yet, so I guess I better get on my horse and see and watch it finally.
Yeah, it was you look, UNM's done some questionable things in the past, but that was really well thought out. It was really well put together. And I know that during the off season they've actually hired someone to promote the football team through its social media accounts. This person, I don't know, I've never met her in person, but you see her at every practice. She's out there filming, she's taking still photos. She does a really good job. And I'm sure it's not just her that's putting it together, but it's well edited, well written, well thought out. Like Brian Urlacher came to their practice yesterday and talked to the team, and they made a little segment about that. So in a state like New Mexico where people never need an excuse not to do anything, those little things, those little social media things, those little initiatives, I think can potentially have an impact because it was so funny that people woke up today talking about Lobo football.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's one thing that, if there's a weak spot that UNM's kind of had, especially over the last decade, is that I think their social media presence and their ability really to market their programs and market it to the community has kind of been, how should I say, subpar. I mean, if I
Yeah,
want to be generous,
yeah,
um, I would consider, I would also call it apathetic in a lot of ways. And I felt like there was a huge disconnect, between the community and the university there. And really, outside of the Lobo men's basketball program and the success that they've had over the last couple of years with Patino, I mean, you look at most venues, and they're not very full. So
yeah,
maybe this is a chance for them to kind of change that narrative and to get the community more engaged with UNM athletics, especially the football program. I mean, gosh, I think we've been harping on it now for at least a decade, about the minuscule crowds that they have. I mean, when you're when you pat yourself on the back for having 20,000 people show up for a game, that's not a good thing, especially when it's a place that holds 40. You want it to be closer to 30 than 15, but that's kind of where they've been at the last decade or so.
yeah. And that's the thing is I think UNM is starting to realize the potential of not just having a winning organization on the field. It's all about fan engagement. Like if we've all been to games at UNM, we've all gone to activities at Isotopes Park, but outside of the actual games themselves, there's not a lot to do in that area. And UNM owns all or most of that land, just around the pit, around the baseball field.
Yeah.
And I know there's been chatter in the last few months about developing that wide open swath that goes all the way down to I-25, as far south as Gibson, and coming up right up against the baseball field to develop some sort of outdoor venue, mall, like
Mhm.
living quarters, so things. Because if you go to a game, your knee jerk reaction is you want to go out and maybe grab a hamburger, maybe go do something. There's nothing to do down there. And
Nope.
so you park in these parking lots that are filled with these giant cracks, and it's all hot as get out. And
Yeah.
I think the idea is let's give these people an excuse to hang out in this area all day, because you've seen it. Gosh, Major League Baseball teams, NFL teams, they don't want a stadium anymore. They want
They want a
multiple
community.
members. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want the shops. They want the hotels. They want all that stuff to give people. They're trying to draw you in. And oh, by the way, here's our stadium. Here's a game, and it's dirt cheap to get into the football. I actually put
Yeah.
this in our Monday notes. UNM's season ticket package for football is actually cheaper than Eastern New Mexico's.
Oh, wow.
Eastern New Mexico's season football ticket package starts at $100. UNM's is like 90. I think there's seats. You can get season tickets for $86 there for 6 home games, which is unbelievable.
Wow. Oh, makes me want to go out there and buy a season ticket, even though I probably won't see. I might see maybe 2 games.
Yeah. And that's, look, I think everyone wants to see them win. They're not. The team is probably not going to win a road game this year. They're going to go 0-6 on the road because it's not to poo-poo on the team. It's just a really good road schedule they play.
Yeah.
But their home schedule is competitive. They've got New Mexico State, which means you're probably going to get a game close to 30, 35, maybe even 40,000 people for that home game. You got Idaho State, the home opener right after they play Michigan on August 30th. Then you got the conference schedule. You got Utah State, a team that everyone wants to see just because of Bronco Mendenhall. So I think there's excuses to maybe come see the team this year. And I think they took a nice step in the right direction with that little commercial that came out Monday. It was creative. It was funny.
Yeah, no, they did. I think Jason Eck is learning how to engage the community, and that's that's not easy as we both know. I mean, if there's one thing about New Mexico, it might be warm and inviting to tourists and everything, but once you move here, they kind of give you a bit of a hands-off type approach before they trust you. And so if he can break down those barriers a little bit, he might have this town and maybe even this state eaten out of his hand.
Yeah, it's Albuquerque and Santa Fe. They're different. It's people love their sports, but I don't know if they necessarily like to really support them outside of the United for some reason. United's had
that the Isotopes. I mean, in the Isotopes, it's just more to go to just to go, not necessarily because of the Isotopes.
And see, that's kind of what I get to with the football thing is you're not necessarily going to watch the game. You're there for the experience. UNM is trying very hard to give you something more than just a college football game because those college football games take about 3 hours and 45 minutes because of all the breaks for TV. I mean, you really have to reserve a lot of time. So they're trying to make things different, which is interesting because you look now and if you go by practices, technically their practices are not open to the public in preseason, but you can walk in there and watch them. And the first thing I noticed yesterday is there's 2 things that really jump out at you. One is there's a lot of construction going on near the Todine facility. They're expanding that area again, which is always fun because I think people like to see progress. And 2 is the energy level is actually pretty high when you walk in there. There's music and the sounds of the combat on the field. It was neat to watch it. So it's kind of they're not going to win a national championship. You're not going to have the Heisman Trophy winner, but if you can make that work for you, then look, it's just like here. It's like New Mexico State. It's like anywhere else. Try to embrace it and have fun with it.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And don't start crying tears of joy after you win your first game.
Right.
Yeah. It didn't get Bronco anywhere.
Yeah, beating Idaho State is going to be nice, but it's not going to be the end all be all.
End all.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, I think of Lobo fans, if UNM beats NMSU and Utah State, I think they'll consider that a successful season.
100%. Yeah, if they can, definitely you can't lose to the Aggies. Either team.
Aggie. Yeah.
Just go undefeated against the Aggies this year. You'll be fine. You can go 2-10, and everyone will be happy. Exactly. But look, now the football season is here. Next Monday, on August 11th, everything else starts up. Soccer, cross country, all the other fall sports start up, which is fun. It's a super exciting time for us. But baseball's over. The Fuego season is over. Now all I have to hang my hat on is the Angels, who are now up to 55 wins. We only need 7 more wins to avoid 100 losses this year. And meanwhile, we were all looking up at the Red Sox, who were kind of running away with the wild card lead.
Yeah, what can I say, man? That sweep at the hands of the Angels just lit a fire under them, and they haven't been the same since.
Trading away your third baseman, your designated.
Yeah, who would have thought addition by subtraction would work? But apparently it did. And now look at him, man. I mean, now he's creating problems with the Giants. So I guess maybe the Red Sox were smart, and getting rid of a head case.
Yeah, at the time everyone thought, well, I guess the Red Sox are quitting, and they've gotten better because of it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I guess it's true. They say you cut out the cancerous tumor, things tend to get better. So maybe that's what happened with the Red Sox.
Yeah, and all I got to say, dude, is come on, man. Why are you setting the bar so low? 63 wins. Dude, you're on pace to win what 79, 80 games. Come on, man. Aim a little higher now. You might even have to start at the playoffs.
The good thing about it being an Angels fan is that they're fairly easy accessible in this area of the country, including September. They're up in Denver for a couple of games for a little
there you go.
series. So yeah, I've already got my tickets, and I was surprised the Rockies are still charging full price for tickets. Because the Rockies will be up around 110 losses by the time I get there. But
maybe so.
It'll be fun to watch. And that'll be my one reprieve from high school football, because I checked that weekend. There's no big high school games in town. UNM is off. I think the Aggies are actually off that weekend too. So it's perfect time for me to take a day off to go. The wife wants to go to IKEA. If we go anywhere near Denver, I got to go to IKEA and then go do that too. So
boy, that thing just sticks out no matter where you're at. It's like where the IKEA is in Denver.
Yeah, be careful shopping there, man. I went and bought some lights for my kitchen. I was all fired up, and I got home. Turns out it was just the lights. It wasn't the electronics. It was just the lights. Like, well, come on. They could have put that in the box. Oh, by the way, the reason these lights are so cheap is because the electronic component isn't included. To do that, you got to buy the other box, which is 5 shelves that way. They don't tell you that, though.
Yeah, and it probably costs you an arm and a leg, so.
Yeah, but the food was cheap though. They're like
that's how they get you, man. They get you with the food, and then all of a sudden you see something that's affordable, and they get you that way, man. Next thing you know, you spent $2,000, and you're having to fill out a loan.
Yeah, IKEA is like the rich version of Costco or Sam's Club. So, but it works. Whatever draws you in, I guess. The big blue and yellow building. So
there you go, man. That'll be quite nice.
Yeah. Well, that'll do it for this week. Look, as always, James, if anyone has any story ideas, reach out to Barron.
Yeah,
not
thanks.
me.
Thanks,
Don't bother me.
Yeah,
don't bother me with your
Will.
But
Will doesn't even know high school sports exist outside of St. Mike's.
I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Other schools play sports too? I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. I guess I have to adjust my schedule.
Oh, and marginally Santa Fe Prep just because of Sarah.
Yeah.
She is our informant for all things Santa Fe Prep. So
yeah, we'll have to get a new intern this year from Santa Fe Prep. So we'll have to.
She probably knows. She already has somebody lined up for you already. Come on, man.
Quite certain of that. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that'll put a bow on it for this weekend. Next week, second week of August. So school will be in full swing for everyone at that point. Looking forward to it. But again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for putting up with us for another week. And that's, I think, episode 25 in the books.
That's right.
So there you go. We'll see you next week.